So what I eat is very simple. I love my sprouts. So sprouts always is a big part of my plate and my juice. And I have a lot of liquid in the morning. So for me, I don't really eat in the morning, but I used to have to because my blood sugar was all over the place as I ate normal standard diet. And then when I moved over to become vegan at 15 years old, I didn't know, so I ate everything cooked and a lot of bread still. And I just kind of moved over, just took meat and dairy and fish and poultry away. But now, since I got over to raw food and live foods, which I eat 80%, sometimes 100%, 80% raw, and then 20% is cooked, but still, of course, vegan, plant-based. It's simple. So I like avocados, or I like nuts. I like to have seaweed in my diet every day. I eat dulse every day. I like nori. I like kombu. I like kelp. And so I want that in my diet as essential fatty acid, as more iodine too. And lately, for a few years, I've been working a lot with the thyroid, because so many people have thyroid problem. And that has a lot to do with the electromagnetic field that we're all around, and we're standing with our cell phone right here, and thyroid is here, and it's the most sensitive to EMF, electric. It's the most sensitive to radiation is the thyroid. So the thyroid needs iodine. That's the job that needs to do a good job. So iodine comes from seaweed, so we like to have that in our diet. And selenium as a supplement, zinc as a supplement will support your thyroid too. And otherwise, if I eat a hot meal, it will be a vegetable soup, or I make a squash. I just cut the squash, I wash it, I cut it, and I bake it or steam it with all the seeds in, and then I take the seeds out as I eat it and enjoy it. And I can mix, food combining is very, very important. So if I have grains, I can have beans, I can have squash, but I'm not going to have nuts with that food. And fruit I take by itself. I only eat fruit twice a week. So of course, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, and apples and pears and kiwis. I try to stay out of all the high sugary fruits. And like bananas and grapes and mangoes and dried fruit for sure is very high in sugar. And I've learned, because I loved fruit for a long time, and what happens, I got chronic migraines, and that I took away by not eating fruit anymore. And I realized it because one weekend I didn't have all the fruit I normally ate. I actually had none. And I was like, whoa, something good happened. And of course, Monday, I started to eat all the fruit again. And then I got the migraine. And I said, what did I not do that weekend? And it was like, well, I didn't have fruit. Maybe that's the problem. And now, since science have found that fructose feeds cancer more than all other sugar. Not to eat the other sugars, but fructose, it prefers. So we all need to be on an organic fruit, and no more than 15% of your diet should be fruit. It's tempting, especially when you go on plant-based diet. Let's just eat fruit, Of course, everybody loves it, but it is not helping us the same as the vegetable, the seeds, nuts, grains, and beans can do for you. So what happened after a meal of animal-based proteins and fats? And if you look at blood under microscope, is that it will actually, the red blood cell will stick together. It's called rouleau. And your immune system is so busy taking care of the waste that you brought in that it's not going to be busy with the infection you had. So let's say I had a cold now. It's going to be so busy with the stuff that I just brought in, the cold will just have to linger until I'm done with the digestion of that. And the more I bring in of processed food, the worse immune system I'm going to have. Because it's kind of like having a country. Looking at blood under the microscope is like looking at the generals in the country, let's say. And so I want to make sure that I can see everything that's going on. I want to know that there is nothing hiding somewhere and now suddenly it's going to be attacking me, right? Literally attacking me. And now I get a ton of problems coming in. It's all like problems that didn't even matter. And come on, I have to take care of that. And this attacker now walks in and have free time and can start working on me. And it takes years many times. For example, for cancer to show up, it didn't just happen. It could have taken 10, 15 years before it actually showed, because it takes billions of cancer cells to start making a tumor. So, you know, I can stop that process if I start taking care of myself. Of course, I can stop the process if I have a tumor and I want to start on a good lifestyle, and it has to be 100% raw and it has to be fruit-free at that time. And sometimes you do need medical intervention. If that's something that you choose to do, then you do that, and you do the lifestyle with the raw, with the living foods, and no fruit too. So dairy is, first of all, it's made for a calf to grow 700 pounds in a year. No matter how we try, we're not going to get there. So it's an enormous amount of fat and protein and hormones that's supposed to be for that calf. So we get that, and where's it going to go? We store it. I look at old baby photos of myself and my husband, and we were fat, we were plump, and the children were supposed to be like that. That's what we were meant to, you know, our parents wanted to have a child that was really plump. And I look at my kids, Brian's and my kids' baby photos, and they're trim, they're slim, and they, you know, they have an amazing immune system. So it is not a food for humans, and obviously it came into our life in big poor time and big stress, where we were in places where there obviously wasn't anything else. So we're not meant to have it. It's meant for a calf, and it's certainly not meant for a baby. And I wouldn't suggest that anybody after weaning time, because nursing is usually 2 years, and after weaning that, who needs any milk? We don't need the milk. And you know, cheeses and butters and yogurts, of course, what happened is that the animal corporations, or the beef and the chicken and all those corporations more or less said, you get protein from us. And then the dairy corporations said, you get calcium from us. So you didn't have to think. As a parent, it was like, hey, protein and calcium is all you need. So, and you know, everything in between, I guess it gave us too. No, we paid a huge price, and we have so many problems from this with all the stuff that these poor animals were given. And then you have the ethical reason, which a lot of people come into, you know, that why do I want to go through when I don't need the milk? I can make green drinks, I can make wheatgrass juice, I can eat really well. I don't need that milk. I don't need to take the milk from a calf, and then that calf, of course, which we want that to be very lean meat, it has no chance to move. It's sitting in a little tiny area where it can't even lay down, and so we get lean meat. That's what happens to especially the male calf, of course. So you know, it's an ethical thing. It's a moral, and it is very toxic for our system. Eggs is a chicken. And you know, it's funny because it's sold in the dairy section, so a lot of people think it's part of dairy. It is actually a chicken. So it starts with an egg and it goes to chicken, right? And you know, it's only a fox that can digest eggs. They are the only ones that have enzymes to digest it. So for us, it causes problem. It's high in cholesterol. The protein that's in it, like all animal products, it's not a good for us. It's a big part of actually raising insulin to give us diabetes and obesity and all kinds of problems like cancer too. So it actually raises insulin even more than sugar. So there is mammography, there is virtual mammography, there is sonography, there's ultrasound, there's MRI. Okay, so normal mammography, I never done myself, but I hear horror stories from women. And I know that the radiation that you get is overwhelming for the tissue in the breast, plus it's pressed. So if you didn't have a tumor, you could start making one. Or if you did have a benign tumor, it could turn malignant on you. So I would suggest MRI, and MRI without contrast, because contrast is also very radioactive. So MRI is magnetic resonance imaging, and it shows amazing picture. You have ultrasound. By the way, many times ultrasound have shown what the mammogram didn't show. Women found out that they had a cyst or tumor with the ultrasound, where mammogram said, you're fine. And then you have sonography, which is no radiation, and that is actually just a camera. Like we're sitting here right now, it's a camera. You're sitting in a cold room, and you take pictures. You're more or less naked, and you take pictures. And then they make the room even colder and take another picture and compare them to see the difference of your temperature. So it's all about body temperatures. And of course, that's not the last of the testing, but it could be the first, and then go further with MRI or ultrasound. Seeds and nuts are amazing food, and you can soak and sprout them. So to get the best out of it, we soak them overnight, and then we sprout them at least 24, 48 hours. And the only nuts we don't use are cashew and peanuts. So all others are amazing, and use them in moderation. There's an old saying by a physician long time ago, 10 almonds a day keeps the doctor away, right? So it's not, now we can buy a bag full of nuts. It takes a beak to open a nut. And so at Christmas time, when you sit there with a nutcracker, that takes a lot of work to open those walnuts. So you weren't supposed to eat a ton of them. But 10 of walnuts, great for you. And sesame seed, complete protein, sunflower seed, complete protein, amino acids. I mean, we will never lack nourishment. This is the highest protein diet that's out there. A lot of people come in and they have low or very high protein in the blood test. It's called total protein. It's a total of albumin and globulin. And that will always normalize. Even after 3 weeks, it will normalize, and people can't believe it. It's like, wow, this actually have protein in it. Yeah, so this old thinking that it has to come from meat and it has to come from dairy, you can toss that away. I'm from Europe, and I never found anybody who did water fasting, and our clinic that I ran was a fasting clinic, and it was actually government supported, and people would come with all kinds of problems and to do the fasting in maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and sometimes 4 weeks, but it was supported, and it was nourishment, it was juices, it was broths, and it was even in our treatment of arthritis and asthma, which we were well known for, we actually had people cut slices of garlic and apple and chew them together as an anti-inflammatory. And we would drink something called flaxseed water. If we take a few tablespoons of flax seeds in a cup of water, I would say 16-ounce cup of water, let it sit overnight, stir, and drink that, and just to protect the gastrointestinal tube. So, water fast probably worked long time ago when our bodies were nourished and we walked, we exercised, and we slept better, because sleep is a big factor today. So many people don't sleep, or they sleep a few hours, they wake up, and it's like that. So because we want to be a part of the world, there's so much on TV and there's so much fun to do, and So people didn't have that. So maybe then a water fast was fine. And of course, biblically, we hear about Moses and Jesus, and I don't suggest water fast. We're not healthy enough to do it. We need nourishment when we're fasting, but we fast once a week. Every Wednesday at the Institute we fast. Not every guest of ours are ready to do it, but a majority are, and they can't believe it, that they actually went through a whole day of fasting and they didn't die, that they did actually feel really well. So naturally, most spiritual leaders have a day of fast in the week, and you give your body a break. You give your body a break to recover and repair. And then the next day, I think, if you want to do big changes in your life and you have some great thinking to do, next day is the best day. Live blood cell analysis taught me so much about the human body and the potential to change and how willing it is. That's how I learned how willing your body is to change. Because I would see people the first week, and then 3 weeks later, it'd be a different picture. And even emotional stresses were worked on, because we do a lot of psychology and group sessions and so on. But it's just amazing that you learn that, okay, if I have cancer, then I have cancer. If I have arthritis, I have arthritis. And it's like not going to go away. And then you realize that your body says, no, give me the right tools and change things, and walk, move, get therapies, get massages, move me around, give me the right nourishment. I'll do the job for you, because it's just waiting to do it. But I think most people don't rely on their body. They're like, what can you do? It has to be I have to go to the hospital and they have the magic wand, and they don't. And they often, of course, I believe in, if I break a leg, yes, they do have the magic wand. But if I have diabetes, they don't. Now, that's my lifestyle. If I have cancer, it's my lifestyle. Arthritis, it goes on and on. So there is emergencies. ER is amazing, but there is the lifestyle problems that I caused very much by my thinking, my lifestyle, that there's no magic wand except me. I just got to take care of it. I got to dig into it. And it's not going to take care of itself from one pill. Don't ever get fooled with that. It's much, much more. But it's simple. It's not complicated. And when our guests go through the 3-week program, they're like, they couldn't believe it, how simple it was. You give the tools, you sleep better, you exercise, you have time for reflection, time to meditation, and things takes care of themselves. So, I think that a lot of people will get stuck. I know a lot of people work two jobs, maybe 3 jobs, and they're like, how can I change that? You're going to have to. The days you're off, you're going to have to start your sprouting. Like for me, on weekends, that's when I prepare everything for the week. And so I start the sprouts, and then it's so much easier to keep going. I clean celery, I clean cucumbers, I go to farmer's market, I can hardly close my fridge, but it's usually enough until Saturday. And, I need to prepare. And so I hope you have a day off, and that's the day you need to prepare. And hopefully, as you get healthier and healthier, you educate yourself and search out, so that hopefully you only have one job. And it's very important to work on to bettering ourselves. And wherever we are in life, and sometimes we're in life, there's a lot of trauma, pick lifestyle to be your best friend. So now with a professor in Germany, Dr. Ballard, and his team, who's making actually a biome pad that is actually quartz on pad, on cloth, and it sounds a magic, but it actually takes 99% of all interference away from me. So I got the idea of taking a piece of the pad and putting it into a locket. So that's how I now have it available. And you know, you feel it. It works on me emotionally and physically. It is an amazing protection. Actually, when you first wear it, you will start to detoxify. You actually will feel like, wow, what's going on? It's you're cleaning. So of course, a lot of liquid, cleaning, saunas, exercise, and just eat really well, because it will take you through that process faster. But you will detoxify, and you wear it at all time. You know, I just wear it outside now to show you, but I usually wear it inside, and it can be outside or inside. But it's that's one thing. Then you have for the cell phone, I have GIA protection. Computer I have also, and you know, there is now actually. We just got from Germany new cell phones, new cordless phones in our house, because cordless phones are big time radiation too, especially if you have it right beside you where you're sleeping. So you got to have it far away. And so there's a new technology that we're looking into. We actually just got it, and I'm testing it in our own house now. And so there's coming a lot of new stuff, because I think people are starting to realize we are bombarded with interference, and it's interfering with us physically and emotionally. So so this is called HHI Pulse, high pulse, and that's available. And you know, so that's one way I want to take care. We have you know, we have so many ways that we can protect ourselves. If I'm sitting in front of my computer, of course I have the GIA stickers on that, and I have a shield on my computer. And you know, we're living in a time, I can't live without a computer. I don't think you can either. So the reality is we need to protect ourselves as much as possible. To raise physically healthy children, it's really the same as for me to be physically healthy. I really never made baby food. My kids were nursed for 2 years. When they started to be interested in our food, you know, usually when they start crawling, they want moms or dads, whatever they drink and whatever they eat, and most of the time they spit it out. They can't believe you're actually taking this in. They had no idea what it was about. And then slowly but surely, it's like, well, give me that. Give me a little bit of that, little bit of that. So before you know it, they're sitting there with a little plate, and even while you're nursing. And so that happens. Some children grow much faster. They're going to be interested in food much sooner. Every child is different. But it happens around that time. So I would say 9, 10 months, or, you know, when they start walking, around 1 year, and they definitely going to want to have food because they're really growing, and then it's fruits. They can have more fruit than us, so it's organic, of course. If I make fruit juice, I dilute it 4 times with water, because I don't want them to get used to that sweet stuff. And our daughter, the first time she had a normal cookie that happened to be in kindergarten, and somebody gave her a normal cookie, and the teacher told me afterwards she spit it out faster than fast, because she had never had that kind of sugar. So her interest and her knowledge was, you know, this is the kind of sweetness that I've had, and I never had anything like that. So avocados and nut milks that I can do, and you know, it's really, my children has eaten what I've been eating, what my husband Brian has been eating, and seaweed. They love the nori sheets. They wrap their whole salad in there, and There's sprouted wraps that you can put salad in, and sesame seeds, sunflower seeds. But it was a big deal also that I would dehydrate. So I get a little dehydrated, which is very simple. It's a box with a heater and a fan to control the temperature. And Dr. Howe was the one who found that if you heat something above 118 Fahrenheit, you kill the enzymes. So I keep mine like 115 and dehydrate. So if I soak and sprout, for example, sunflower seed and pumpkin seed, which is so great for you with the zinc and the protein and the minerals, now I can sprout it in the colander. And I rinse it twice a day, and now a little sprout, a little germ starts growing, and then I can put it in the dehydrator, and then I can keep it in a little jar forever. So that's been a good thing. And really, if you really want to do a good thing, you keep your child on raw food the first 3 years of their life, because their digestive tract, their metabolism, amazing. And then you can start, if you want, with some cooked, like 80-20, and that would be a plant-based, of course. Once you're on dialysis, you are dialysis, unless it's a temporary dialysis because of a surgery or something in the hospital. But if it's permanent, it is permanent. But you can, of course, improve the life quality. You can improve the general health, and we have people right now that is undergoing dialysis at the local hospital and that are going through our program. We have to modify it somewhat, because our diet is very potassium rich, so we do lower amounts of certain things, but they flourish, they do amazing, but dialysis is still going on. Atkins diet is a high protein, low carb diet. Yeah, if you just look at it from the outside and you try it, yeah, you will lose weight because you don't have all the sugars and you don't have the bread and the pasta and all of that. But you are on a highway to disaster because it's a high animal fat protein diet. We were never supposed to be on that. You spike your insulin, diabetes is waiting around the corner, cancer could be waiting around the corner. It's not for human beings. And it's sad that Dr. Atkins got into it in that way because, it's created a lot of problems. For example, so we had this athlete that came, and he just about lost his kidneys. I mean, yes, he would have ended up on kidney transplant. He came to us in the last minute, and he's been on Atkins diet. He was told it's perfect for an athlete. I mean, you need all that protein to go. And it's just about killed his kidneys because it's so acidic. It's so tough on the kidneys to regulate that and regulate your blood pressure. And it's not a good diet. It's not for anybody who wants to flourish in life. I want, if you hear what we're saying, you have to realize that we've been working night and day for more than 40 years. We raised 4 children on this, and we have 7 grandkids. You have to realize where we come from. And I'm giving you the advice, and all the rest of us here, from our heart and from our experience. I want you to start where you're at with any improvement will be amazing. If you improve by starting to make juices, if you improve by eating organic, and you go much more plant-based, and you start going to the gym, you take a walk every day, you go to bed earlier, wherever you can start, it's wonderful. And we want you so much success. And, just realize it takes baby steps. And you've got to crawl before you walk, and walk before you run. And so we've been through a lot of that, and we're learning every day. You never stop learning.